What's good, YouTube? It's your boy 2K the God, my man Sus. Welcome to the Gods of Boxing Talk. Now, for this segment, I brought my man Mál'akhî from Danger Zone Boxing Talk. How you doing, fam?
Good, fam. How are you, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. And y'all know when I got my man Mál'akhî on the show, y'all know we getting ready to talk about the little guys. Hashtag real boxing fans watch all 17. All right, for this one, we want to do a recap of the fight that happened today between Naoya Inoue and Kohei Kano. Probably one of the toughest guys that Inoue has fought in his career in terms of durability, being able to take punches. But he wasn't really his toughest test whatsoever. But first, let's jump into a WBA Super title match, which happens to be a rematch at 130 pounds, the junior lightweight division. That will be happening tomorrow morning, early in the motherfucking morning. We're talking about 8 o'clock Eastern time. So go ahead and get your sleep so you can wake up and watch boxing in the morning. We got Jezreel Corrales versus Takashi Uchiyama. Now, Takashi Uchiyama, if y'all know who he is, you about to find out. He was dominating at 130 pounds with that WBA title, man. He had 11 straight WBA title defenses before he ran into Jezreel Corrales earlier this year back in April. And he lost, obviously. He got knocked out in the second round. Jezreel Corrales, on the other hand, is a fighter before he knocked out Uchiyama, was a guy that stayed primarily in Panama. His entire career was fighting in Panama. So, coming into this fight, this was just a guy who was rated high by the WBA. And honestly, you ain't got to do much when it comes to the WBA to get high in them fucking rankings. Just ask Lucas Brown. You can pop hot on 2 tests and still be in the top 5. But anyway, Shannon Briggs too. Anyway, but ain't much shit you got to do to get ranked in the WBA. And Jezreel Corrales is another one of those highly ranked guys that Uchiyama felt he was going to run through, but it didn't really happen that way. So, before we break this shit down, let me give y'all some of the logistics surrounding the fighters' demographics, the reach, etc. Jezreel Corrales, like I said, he's from Panama. He's 5'6", has a 67-inch reach. He's a southpaw, but he can switch. I've seen him switch numerous times against Takashi Uchiyama the first time. He's 20-1. His lone loss coming early in his career. I think it was his second fight of his career. He lost, which was back in 2009. And he only has 8 knockouts, but those 8 knockouts, that's just deceiving. 20 wins, 8 knockouts, very deceiving. All right. And you got Takashi Uchiyama. He's 5'7" and a half, and he has a 71.5-inch reach. So he has a 1.5-inch height advantage and a 4.5-inch reach advantage. Motherfucker couldn't do math for a second there. He's 24-1 with 1 draw. 20 knockouts, hailing from Japan. I'm going to go to my man Mál'akhî first because he said some interesting things off of wax. Mál'akhî, man, break down this fight, man. Give me your prediction, fam.
First, this was my upset of the year last year. Like you said earlier, Takashi Uchiyama had been the king of the super featherweight division. Yep. I want to say it was for 6 years. Mm-hmm. You go back and you research, you know what I mean, he had beaten the WBC champion and the IBF champion at some point. So this was his division, and you know, Jezreel was relatively unknown. But when you went and you looked at the film study, you would see some things in his game that was going to give Uchiyama some issues, but you just didn't expect the outcome that we got, that second round TKO. And the first thing I noticed when I did the film study on this was Uchiyama was just horrendous when it came to using his jab. He would just paw it out there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it didn't allow him to set up his signature right hand. His footwork on the punch that literally, to me, ended his title reign, which was the first knockdown in the second round. He goes to throw a right hand. He goes to double it up. And he actually takes a small step to the left and walks right into a left hand by the southpaw Corrales. You know what I mean? That just didn't make sense. Yeah. And and I seen it over and over. He would lean to the left after throwing a punch. Man, you putting yourself right in line for this dude's power hand. And like you said, the 8 knockouts can be deceiving if you don't go and research, because he's knocked out his last 6 opponents.
Yep.
Including KO Dynamite. The shifting was a huge issue. The southpaw stance was a huge issue. At first, I was favoring Takashi Uchiyama in the rematch, but when I went down and really broke down the film study, I was like, well, how much can he really improve on? And he could get better with his timing to combat the speed, but there's nothing he could do to be a better athlete in there that night. Jezreel Corrales just brings too many miscellaneous aspects to the fight. I'm predicting that once again, Jezreel Corrales is going to leave Tokyo the world super featherweight champion.
Word. My man Sess, let me, of course I want your breakdown and prediction, but let me put a spin on it, and you can answer this in any order that you feel. You watched the first fight, man.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that Takashi Uchiyama kind of went into this fight knowing that Corrales was an unproven prospect, pretty much, that was highly ranked, primarily only fighting in Panama and fighting a bunch of bum-ass motherfuckers at that? Did you really think that Uchiyama came into that first fight and was like, yeah, I'm about to run through this cat? 20, I think at the time he was 19 and 1 with 7 KOs. Uchiyama is, he's 24-0, he's 24-1 with 20 knockouts, so he's got only 4 fights that went the distance. Do you think that he came into this fight and was like, yo, I'm about to walk through this motherfucker real quick? What do you think about that?
You know what? That's a good question, but no. Okay. I have to say I don't think that was a part of. I mean, it could have been, because a lot of guys get trapped in their own hype, especially when they've been that dominant, especially when they have that many knockouts on their resume. But I don't think he had that mindset, because the minute the first bell rung, I knew that it was clearly. I knew he was clearly overmatched in the talent department.
Yeah.
Jezreel Corrales is supremely talented when it comes to fighting a guy like Takashi Uchiyama. Mm-hmm. The first thing I noticed was Uchiyama was extremely stiff. He was straight up. He was very he had no resemblance of any type of head movement aside from hitting that canvas a couple times. and to me, he didn't get off. It was almost like he was a little gun shy. I mean, I think Mál'akhî did mention it earlier. He would throw his jab out there, but he would paw with it a little bit. And I mean, he just and here's the thing: when you're fighting a fighter that has some pretty good hand speed, you can't paw with your jab. You can't do it because they can come over the top of it. They can jab with you. They can get underneath it. It's just too many things that they can do if you're going to stand right in front of these cats and paw like that. Or if you're going to throw a bullshit jab out there, you cannot do that. Everything that you throw, it doesn't have to have power on it, but it needs to be as sharp as it can possibly be. You need to touch something if you're fighting a guy that's got hand speed. So, man, that was, like I said, that was the first thing I noticed was he just had no fluid movement. And not that I expected him to have that, but I actually expected him to pressure Jezreel Corrales a little bit and try to put him on his back foot.
He tried,
but it was so unsuccessful because, again, that jab was just not working for him. So, I definitely think Corrales is going to knock him out again. I mean,
oh wow.
Yeah. Well, like you guys said, the 8 knockouts is deceiving. Yeah. But at the same time, when a guy does not tuck his chin or does not move his head, you leave yourself wide open to get caught with something. If I were Takashi Miura, I wouldn't try to match his speed. I wouldn't try to do any of those things that have to do with a guy that has talented hands. What I would do is, because I'm the power puncher in the fight. You know, my record says that.
Yeah.
What I would do is I would punch in between Jezreel Corrales' punches. If you go back and you watch that fight, Jezreel Corrales did get wild, especially after the first knockdown.
Oh.
He got real wild.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
wild.
Hell yeah.
So when a guy does that, and especially when he's riding a wave, like I think Jezreel Corrales is riding, because he beat Uchiyama in Japan. You have to draw him into some type of firefight. If you can, I think you give yourself a better chance, because you can land something in between those punches. And what I believe he has to do, man, is he has to keep the pressure on Corrales. Keep the pressure on him.
Yes, he
come
does.
behind, come behind your jab, man. A precise jab or a nice stiff jab, whichever one Uchiyama is capable of. But again, he's 37 years old.
Good point.
Corrales is 25 years old.
Good point.
The sand in the hourglass has ran out for Takashi Uchiyama, and I'm telling you, mark my words, if he doesn't do everything that I just said, I have him getting stopped again. The only thing that I'm worried about with Corrales is if he comes out there and he starts if he starts thinking his shit don't stink, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, he gets a little wild, but I'm telling you, I have him stopping. And I'm not taking nothing away from Uchiyama, but I'm just telling what it is. The guy's 37, and he's fighting a much younger, faster fighter. So I'm definitely picking Corrales to beat him in the 6th round. I think it'll go. I think it'll go a little longer, because I'm giving Corrales the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's gonna lose his shit and go crazy. I think he still knows that this guy is somewhat dangerous. But man, I definitely believe Corrales can stop him again.
But come on, fellas. This is the reasoning for my questioning. I mean, the question I gave to Cecil. Uchiyama has fought some very big punchers. I mean, we got Takashi Miura. We got Michael Ferenis. For you who don't know who Michael Ferenis is, he's the guy that fought Yuriorkis Gamboa, I believe, in 2012. Even dropped him before going to lose every single round after that. But he did drop Yuriorkis Gamboa. He fought Jorge Solis. He fought Brian Vasquez. He fought Juan Carlos Salgado, who he actually got the WBA title from back in 2010. I mean, he's fought some big punchers, and he knocked them all out, I believe. I think Ferenis, if I'm not mistaken, was the fight that went to a technical decision. But the rest of them were all TKOs and shit. So
Styles make fights, and so said, he just has that style for a fighter like Takashi Uchiyama.
Absolutely.
Another thing I noticed real fast is the lack of body work from Uchiyama. That's one of his vaunted weapons, man.
Yeah. What do you want to say, Sus?
Yeah. No, I was gonna say to your point, the point you made about Uchiyama getting those guys out of there. But here it is, 2K. The punches you don't see are the ones that put you on that canvas, And even though Jezreel Corrales only has 8 knockouts, the one of the prime problems I've seen for Uchiyama was he didn't know where the shots were coming from. And it's kind of what you guys alluded to earlier. Switching does that to a fighter.
Yes.
When a guy can switch, you don't know what hand has the power, because if he's confident enough to switch, he can probably thump pretty good in both hands. Look at Terence Crawford. He can knock you out with the right or the left. Yeah. So I definitely think that was something that kind of played a part in Uchiyama's demise. Is man, he just couldn't see them fucking punches. One more thing. What I did notice, and what I'm looking for Uchiyama to do, what I noticed from Corrales is when he jabs from the southpaw stance. Now, I don't know if he's done this in other fights, but in this particular fight, he did do it in the first round. He jabbed and he had his chin sticking straight up. And I was literally watching the fight, and I was saying, hook him off the jab.
Yes.
Hook. Soon as he pops that jab out there, throw your fucking left hook, and just go for it. But that's another thing I think Uchiyama can do. When Jezreel Corrales throws that jab, get on the outside of it, and swing that fucking left hook as hard as you can. But so definitely should be a great fight. But
a good points made by both of y'all. Mál'akhî about styles making fights, and Sess about the punches you don't see are the ones that hurt the most. And I like to say, man, both of you guys are privy to this. There's 3 spots that'll really fuck you up. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? The liver, the temple, and the back of the jaw below the earlobe.
There you go.
And that fight, Uchiyama probably got hit in all 3 of them motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Definitely to the temple. He was taking a lot of wild ass hooks to the side of his dome. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I saw, man. And this is something that tells me why Jezreel Corrales will probably win in the same fashion. I'm in agreement with the both of you cats. Uchiyama, man, I disagree with Sess a little bit, just on my question. Everything else I agree with 100%. But just on my question, I really do believe Uchiyama came into this fight thinking it was just going to be another man down. It was a guy. Yeah, I mean, it just looking at his background, man, a guy who's never fought outside of Panama. If you go back and look at the guys that he fought, like I said, they were all a bunch of bums. I mean, he's only 19 wins with 7 knockouts. He's already got a loss on his record against another Panamanian that nobody knows. It's the WBA who's ranking this guy, so there's no fucking telling if he really deserved it or not. Uchiyama is on his, like I said, this time his 11th title defense, beating some of the best 130 pounders there were to offer at that point in time, and some of those guys are still some of the best, like Miura. He's still one of the best, and he knocked him out. So I think he came into this fight thinking, yeah, I've already beaten motherfuckers way better than him, and he can't punch, so I'm about to just walk through this cat. Evidenced by in the first round, Uchiyama just coming forward with his fucking hands down. He's not worried about getting hit. He's just trying to land his big punch, which is the right hand. He's trying to land that shit. But what he didn't know was that Jezreel Corrales, his knockouts are deceiving, and they're deceiving because he knows how to punch. There's a difference.
Big difference.
If he has good punch placement, it don't matter if he's fucking 27-0 with 1 knockout. If he's exhibiting good punch placement, he can knock anybody the fuck out in that division. Okay? And that's what the problem was. He knew exactly where to throw his punches, and Uchiyama wasn't banking on that. He didn't think Jezreel Corrales had that ability looking at his record. Okay, just looking at who the guy is. Jezreel Corrales is a slick-ass southpaw. And he's known for throwing a bunch of wild-ass punches from the outside. You don't expect a guy like that to come towards you with power punches first. You expect a guy like that to stay on the outside, move laterally, throw the pitter-pat, you know what I'm saying, keep the jab out there while you are playing the bull. That's what you expect if you're Takashi Uchiyama and you haven't fought this guy before. So, in the second round, let me say this. At the end of the first round, he's fucking flabbergasted. He goes back to the corner and he's like, God damn, what the fuck is this shit? Hey, coach, this ain't what we strategize for.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this shit? This nigga's punches hurt. You know what I'm saying? Goes out there in the second round, goes to what Sess was talking about. He started throwing a jab. He started staying back. He was a little cautious about coming forward in that second round, because he realized, hey, hold up, this motherfucker's hitting me in the right spots, and I'm getting hurt. And he couldn't do that forever. Because Jezreel Corrales, like we said, he's naturally slick. So if you're going to stay out there and not come forward on this guy who could just basically box circles around you because you don't have great movement if you're Uchiyama, well, then he could just outbox you for the entire round until 12th round, until the fucking final bell rings. You could be outboxed. So Uchiyama's like, fuck, I got to move in. And when he moved in, that's when I think at the first knockdown, he threw a straight right hand, and then he tried to double up on it. Jezreel Corrales came over the top with a left hook to the temple, floored him. Second time.
He picked up his back foot and moved it slightly to the left while he was throwing that.
Exactly, yeah,
right
he did.
hand.
Yep, exactly. Good point, Mál'akhî. Good point. Yep. Second knockdown. Caught Uchiyama with a wild-ass right hook, right? As Uchiyama tried to stand his ground. He's like, fuck it, I got to stay here. Got dropped again. Then the third knockdown, he tried to go back to his second strategy, which is, okay, let me stay on the outside. But in the process of retreating, he's got his fucking hands down, and he gets hit with a series of wild-ass hooks, left and right. I mean, in my opinion, this fight happened in April. This is 8 months later. There's a lot of time there for Uchiyama to get some things straight. He needs to go in there. He needs to use his head. The same head that got him past those other top fighters at 130. Problem is, he hasn't fought anybody as slick. Now, if he's smart, he will use Jezreel Corrales' the fact that he's so wild, he will use that against him. Okay? But I don't think Uchiyama can do that right now at this stage of his career. So I got Corrales winning again. I'm kind of hesitant to say knockout, but fuck it, I'm gonna go with my man Sus. I'm gonna say he gonna knock him out again. If he don't knock him out, it's gonna be a unanimous 12-round decision, man. Mál'akhî, I didn't hear what you said on your prediction of the fight. Did you have him by knockout?
Yeah, I think he stops him, man. I think, like you said, I think this is the point in the career of KO Dynamite where he's no longer one of those upper echelon super featherweights.
Yeah. Excellent champion at 130, man. Wish him the best, but I think he's going to get his ass whooped. Next! And let's move on to a fight that actually happened today, man. Early in the morning again. It was actually the same time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We had Naoya Inoue versus Kohei Kano. Now, Kohei Kano, his last fight, he lost to Luis Concepcion, who, in his last fight, lost to my man out of the UK, Cal Yafai. That motherfucker's a beast at 115, man. Ain't nobody trying to see that nigga. But anyway, Kohei Kano, man, coming in, I was trying to tell cats that Naoya Inoue will stop him. And he will stop him because he's already stopped somebody who was just as tough and smarter than Kohei Kano, and that was Omar Narvaez. Omar Narvaez, a dominant champion. I think he had something like 11 title defenses and shit. The same amount as Uchiyama, I believe, before he walked into the ring with Naoya. Now, of course, he lost to Nonito Donaire before that, but that fight wasn't at his home division. It was at, I believe, bantamweight or super bantamweight. I think it was at 122. So that wasn't that fight wasn't for Omar Narvaez's title going up against Nonito Donaire. And even in that fight, he still didn't get knocked out by the bigger man who was the bigger puncher. Very tough Argentinian fighter. But Naoya Inoue got him out of there in 2 rounds. 2 rounds. And I think this is Naoya's 9th fight or 8th fight? You know what I'm saying? And before that, he knocked out another tough fighter, and Adrian Hernandez, in his 5th pro fight. Okay? So, looking at Kohei Kano, who's not better than either of those guys, IQ-wise, boxing ability-wise, toughness, durability, he's not better across the board. I was telling people that Naoya will stop this guy and give Kohei Kano his very first loss by knockout. Before I turn it over to my panel, I just want to mention Naoya Inoue is a part of that small list of active fighters who have become champions in 10 fights or less. Guys like Guillermo Rigondeaux, Vasyl Lomachenko, Naoya Inoue, of course, Bebut Shumanov, Alexander Usyk. He's even at a smaller list of fighters who become 2-time champions in 2 weight classes of active fighters, and that's Vasily Lomachenko himself. So I'm going to go to my man Mál'akhî. There might be others, but I'm just going off the dome with this shit. I'm going to go to my man Mál'akhî, man. What did you see in this fight, man? And tell me what you think should be next for Naoya Inoue.
I think Monster showed you everything the hype was about. The brutal combinations, blazing hand speed. He displayed pinpoint accuracy. He fought both on the inside and outside. That's something I'm going to get back to. And he gave you that highlight moment with the first knockdown in the 6th round. Kono was who, anybody who had seen him fight previously, who we thought he was going to be, that high guard, leaning forward, coming straight at you, volume puncher, full of heart. And I thought he had his moments, man. I thought he clearly had some moments against the young phenom.
Yeah.
That showed flashes of the former, legitimate 2 weight division champion that he was. With Naoya, getting back to him, fighting on the inside and outside. To me, this is the same thing that I've talked about previously with him, is he's just this guy who he has all this incredible boxing talent and natural ability, but he just seems to get drawn into these stretches of a slugfest.
Agreed.
And oftentimes, that's the only opportunity his opponent has to get off an assault.
Yep.
Kono's best moments were when Naoya stood in front of him flat-footed with his earmuffs on, and you throw a little combination, and I'm going to throw a brutal combination, you know what I mean? And I think it showed some things that Naoya has to improve on.
Yes.
I think from here, the only thing you could do with the boy is put him in the ring with Roman Gonzalez, Estrada, or Cuadras.
Yes. Yeah. I agree with that. He improves to 12-0 with 10 knockouts. And my man Sess,
yes, sir,
doesn't understand what all the hoopla is about. Now, before I let my man Sess tell me why I don't know shit about boxing.
Nah, nothing like that.
I know. I'm going to go ahead and say where I got Naoya Inoue. I got him number 5 on my pound for pound list. Sess, man, what do you think about Naoya Inoue?
Oh man, you know what, 2K? I do think he's good. I believe he's good. Or at least he looks good so far. He's 12-0 with 10 knockouts. But there's always a but. Whenever I'm talking about a fighter, right? When you start mentioning names like my man Mál'akhî just did, Roman Gonzalez, Carlos Cuadras, and Estrada, I honestly, I can't see him beating those cats right now.
I agree.
I think from what I've seen, and I haven't seen much of Inoue, but there isn't much on him because he's only got 12 fights. But from what I've seen, he is a good fighter. I think there's a lot to improve on, though.
Yes.
From what Mál'akhî just said, and it kind of proved my point just a little bit, not to pick on you, Mál'akhî, but you said that Inoue has a tendency to get drawn into these kind of slugfest type fights. When you're fighting a guy like Roman Gonzalez, who has I believe it's over 40 fights. He's got, I think, 30-something knockouts on his resume, somewhere around there. And he's 29 years old, whereas Inoue is 23. Inoue only has 12 fights with 10 knockouts. You cannot fight a more experienced fighter that way. Roman Gonzalez is the smaller man moving up. I think Roman is coming up from flyweight, but from Carlos Cuadras' own mouth, when he rated Roman Gonzalez' power. Now, he didn't give him too much credit because, of course, they're going to have a rematch. But he said his power was on a scale from 1 to 10. I believe he said anywhere between 7 and 8. Yeah. That's pretty fucking good for a guy that's moving up in weight.
I agree.
So that's why, a lot of people are saying Roman Gonzalez, saying Inoue. I would love to see that fight. I don't have a problem with it. I just think it would be a better fight if Inoue would get a few more victories under his belt, a bit more experience, and I definitely give him a better shot against Gonzalez later than I would now. Same thing with if he fights a guy like Carlos Cuadras. Cuadras has very good foot movement. To be a Hispanic fighter, he's got very good foot movement, and he's got heavy hands, and he lets his hands go and throws combinations.
Word.
The problem in the Roman Gonzalez fight, which I believe will be the problem if Roman were to fight Inoue, is he let Gonzalez draw him into these slugfests. Now, we all know what happened, with Roman's face and shit like that, but it's just the amount of relentless pressure that Roman Gonzalez puts on you that makes you fight him that particular way. So what I'm saying is, if you have a tendency to do that, then he's going to exploit that to the absolute fullest. He's going to make you fight the way that you don't want to fight. He's going to keep coming. He's going to rip you to the body, and he's going to hit you up top as well. So, man, there's a lot to improve, I think, with the Naoya Inoue. Clearly, he is showing that he has power right now because he's got 10 knockouts. I just don't see him beating these guys right now. If I'm him, I'm going to steady climb that ladder. But if I were offered the Gonzalez fight right now, or a Cuadras fight right now, or whenever they have their rematch and one's coming off a loss or whatever the case may be, I don't know that I would take it. I don't know that I take it because I just see too much to improve on. With me, I thought he was a little stiff. I forgot who I seen him fight. I think it wasn't it wasn't the recent fight. It was the fight before that.
Jeroen Karupian Lard.
Yes, that. And I was watching him, and I did see some good things, but I just kept saying to myself, I was like, man, he's kind of, I don't want to say he's basic, but he's not hard to figure out if you really know what you're doing, and if like I said, if you're a guy like Roman Gonzalez who's got a lot of experience, he's not that difficult to really figure out. So, not to shit on him, but 2K, I don't know if I put him at number 5 right now. Yeah. But I definitely think he has the potential to solidify a number 5, or maybe even higher spot, depending on how the rankings go. But I just want to see more of the guy before I do anything else. And 2K, in our private conversations, I'm the same way with Lomachenko.
Yeah, just getting ready to get to that. But that, you are.
I'm the same way with him. So I just want to see more of him. I like the kid. I think he's very good for 23, man. He looks great, but I just want to see a little more of him.
I agree, man. And as much as I hate to say it, because this is my dude. You know what I'm saying? I was watching this motherfucker when nobody knew who he was. He was my 2014 Fighter of the Year, specifically because that was the year he won 2 titles and 2 weight classes in under 10 fights, and 10 fights or less, I believe. So I had to give him 2014 Fighter of the Year over Terrence Crawford just for that. And he beat guys who were very good fighters. One of them will possibly be a Hall of Famer at the end of his career. But I agree 100% with you guys. Mál'akhî, I agree 100% with your assessment about him being drawn into fights. And Sess, you said the same thing. And you also said that you don't think he beats Cuadras, Roman Gonzalez, maybe Juan Francisco Estrada, and I agree with that as well. The one thing I do notice from 2014 is that he has not really learned too much in terms of being able to have the movement of a masterclass boxer, but he has the ability in the upper body, at least, as far as like hand movements, hand speed, power, combination punching, punch placement. He has those abilities of a masterclass boxer, but everything below the waist just not there for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Against a guy like Roman Gonzalez, and you know, shout out to my man in TBAB, a boxing group on Facebook. You know, he asked me personally. He was like, "Man, what do you think about, you know, what should be next for Naoya?" And I know where he was getting at. He wanted me to say Roman Gonzalez. I was like, "Hey, yo, you know, I said I don't think he can beat Roman right now. I did say he should fight a Cuadras. If he had to fight one of the top 3 115 pounders, it would have. I mean, Cuadras is number 3 and Roman's number 2. He's number 1, so it would be Cuadras. But deep down, honestly, that motherfucker need to go down to like number 10 and go pick on Mick Joe Arroyo. You know, beat Jerwin and Kayas, who just beat Mick Joe Arroyo, just gave him his first loss. He's the IBF champion at 115. Take his belt. You know what I'm saying? Lewis. Go ahead.
My bad, 2K. Or maybe even I think it's what, McWilliams Arroyo.
Well, McWilliams is a division higher. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I
stand corrected.
He's got a twin brother. I'm sorry, McWilliams is a division lower. Excuse me, but he's got a brother who's McJoe. He's in the division.
Gotcha.
And that's what I'm saying. He need to go down. He's rated number 10. He might need to go down there and go fucking pick on him or somebody, cause
he the one that Roman beat before he moved up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that cat.
McWilliams is right.
Yep.
But
I actually, you know, Roman's my guy, and I've been high on Roman for quite a minute. But I came out of this fight believing that Monster had a better chance in my mind, because that boy's power is just ridiculous.
It is.
He turns boys sideways when he hits them.
I agree.
And that punch that knocked Kono down, the first one. That was in the middle of an exchange, and out of nowhere, Naoya throws that hook, and dude was on the mat.
He was on his back foot too, Mál'akhî. He was on his back foot, fam. Like he's right. It was a fucking exchange, and he was stepping back, and it was his lead. It was his lead hand. It was a lead left hook stepping back, and he just straight floored the shit out of Kanu. My man's was on his back with his hands hanging out the ring and shit, fam. Yeah, it was bad, Joe. Yeah, Mál'akhî is absolutely correct. I just, you know, I'm not, just like with Triple G, I don't give a fuck about power when that's your main asset. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do see what you're saying, Mál'akhî. But
he got speed with it. Like, you know, Golovkin's more of a slow, you know, he's slower puncher. Where Naoya speed just light, and he hits you, you don't see it coming, and it's just I don't know, man. With the way Roman comes straight forward at you, Roman throws so many punches. Sometimes his defensive responsibility isn't what it's supposed to be. That's why his face looked like it did against Cuadras.
No,
you know what I mean? And I don't see it, man. If he's eating punches like some of the punches he ate versus Cuadras and eating them like he does. He would, I think, against Naoya, man. I don't know, bro. I think that's my man, but I think he goes to sleep.
But see, this is
My bad. My bad. Go ahead, okay.
Okay, this is the problem I see, though, man. When you put Naoya, you put pressure on Naoya, he clams up. He goes into his defensive shell, and he starts moving backwards. He doesn't move laterally, or he'll stand there and be in his defensive shell. Now, against Gonzalez, of course, who is the smaller fighter, but he's a devastating body puncher. I don't think Naoya will stand there and stand his ground and let Roman Gonzalez tee off on him. So what he's going to do is he's going to back up, and he's going to allow Roman Gonzalez to dictate the pace of the fight. So the only thing that we're really looking at in this fight for Naoya Inoue is his power. And I'm not the type to just sit on that when we're looking at two elite fighters. I mean, you're right. Hand speed is great. Combination punching is great. But if he doesn't have the power to keep Roman Gonzalez off of him, let me just say this. If Roman is able to walk through or not be too phased by the power just because of his style, I'm not ready to just sit on that. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead, Sus.
Yeah. No, that was exactly my point. Pretty much everything that you said. I can't put too much on the power, because Carlos Cuadras couldn't really slow Roman down the way he needed to. Now, he beat Roman face up, and, we all seen it, but at the same time, he never dropped Roman Gonzalez, and he was hitting him with some pretty good shots. And you have to keep in mind, Roman is the smaller guy, and he's got a bigger guy hitting him. And like I said, at least I can say the dude never went down, and he never really stopped punching.
And Cuadras, let me add to this, your point, Cuadras has excellent power. Before the Gonzalez fight, he was 34 wins with 27 knockouts. So he has power.
Exactly. So just in regards to Inoue fighting Gonzalez, that's what I'm kind of looking at. I'm looking at a guy in Carlos Cuadras who has the experience, who was the bigger man, and of course, I'm not saying Roman just went in there and dogged them, because the fight was controversial and it could have went either way, but at the same time, I have to look at what I took away from that fight, and I just don't think Inoue is ready for that kind of pressure right now. There's a lot of things good that I see Roman Gonzalez do when he's pressuring a guy. One of them is just the body attack. He's got some very good body shots.
Yeah.
He's got some very good shots to the head, So, whew, I don't know, fellas. I know, but, I don't want to count the kid out right now, but man, I like Inoue. I just don't think he's ready right now. I 100% agree with you, 2K. Pick on somebody that's ranked number 10 right now, man, number 9, and get them cats out of there first.
I like him against Jerwin and Cajas, man, before a Roman Gonzalez fight. That would be a good, not test, because I don't like to say test anymore. Even in he only has 12 pro fights. He's fought some ridiculous ass competition, so it's no longer a test. It just would be, how do I put it, a good measuring stick for the Roman Gonzalez fight, in my opinion. Maybe even Estrada. Estrada would be a good measuring stick, actually. That's a better measuring stick, because Estrada is just non-stop pressure. He's not as smart as Roman Gonzalez. That's another thing. Roman Gonzalez's IQ is kind of underrated. That's another thing.
Oh yeah.
That's another thing.
I still would favor Roman. I just came away with thinking he had a better chance than I gave him previously.
Oh yeah. No, I feel you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I want to see him against Estrada. Fuck it. That's my thing right now. I want to see him against Juan Francisco Estrada. He's actually
I think Estrada has said he wants Cuadras if Roman and Cuadras can't work out a rematch contract. That would be a very interesting fight.
Yes. There's a lot of interesting fights at 115, and don't forget my man Cal Yafai, who just beat Louis Concepcion. He's there as well too. So there's a lot of interesting fights at 115. One of the divisions that's not really known, but it's one of the best ones in the fucking sport of boxing right now, if you look at the competition down there. All right, fam, we'll go ahead and end it right here. Shit, I'm about to go over here and watch Ronda Rousey get her ass whooped by Amanda Nunes.
I hope so.
Yeah, please, me too.
And still. Word up. I said Nunes could beat her 2 years ago, man. Let's see if I was right.
Ooh, all right.
All right, fam. We'll go ahead and end it right here. I want to thank my man Mál'akhî from Danger Zone Boxing Talk for joining us once again to talk about the little guys. I also want to thank my man Sess, even though he's part of the he is one of the gods of boxing talk, but I hit him up short notice. My man hopped on, so I appreciate him for that. YouTube, do what you do in the comment section. Would be real. This is real talk for real fans. 1.